Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for checking out the newest episode of the Skyward cast. Quick note before the episode gets started. Some of these topics in the episode were a little bit older, and that's just because we actually recorded this episode a couple weeks ago, but I didn't put it up as soon as I should have, and so things are a little bit older than usual. Of course, the next episode is going to get back to the normal routine of speaking on more relevant, right now topics mixed with just, timeless stuff. But I just wanted to let you guys know before it got started, just so, you guys aren't thinking, what the heck, why y'all talking about this right now? That's just kind of how it went down. But thank you as always for checking out the Skyward cast, and I hope y'all enjoy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of the Skyward cast. It's been a minute. Of course, you know me. I'm Joey Craig, here with my co-host, Delvin Cox. What's going on, man?
At 1,000 degrees Celsius, I make MCs melt. F my record label, I appear courtesy of myself. What's up, bro?
You got bars for every episode, man. Jeez. And I still don't know that. I still don't know
that one. You might not know. That was Cannabis. That's from
Who?
Cannabis. You never heard of Cannabis?
No. Nope, never heard of Cannabis.
He's best known for the song Second Round Knockout with this LL Cool J and then losing an MC battle to LL Cool J.
Jeez. I never heard of that dude.
Yeah, no one else ever did either. That song was off the Firm album, for those who don't know. It's Cannabis featuring AZ, Nas, Nature. What did it say? I think that's right, yeah. Dope song, Desperados it's called.
It said Desperados.
Yeah, it's a dope song. Oh, that song's so good.
Man, one of these days, and once
I gotta start sending you these songs.
That's what you got to make a playlist, man. You got to make a playlist and send it to me. It's like, man, I wish I had the whole hookup, like with the where I could actually feed the sound from my computer into the podcast, because I just be like, let's just live listen to one of these songs, because I don't know what the heck you're talking about, so everybody can hear it with me at the same time, get a live little listen going on. But anyway,
yeah, that would probably be a good idea if we could figure out how to do that and not like take our podcast down.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
so
that.
I think we can only play like 30 seconds of it, if I'm correct.
I hate that trash.
But that might be a good idea if we do that, right? And like whatever the verse I rapped, we play 30 seconds of that verse after I rap, so you can see the comparison, see how accurate I am. But this stuff is usually coming off the top of my head, so.
Hey,
so it's based off of how to remember it.
Yeah, we could. I could try to set that up. It's just like I got to figure out how to get it through Voice Meter and all that. But once I do, yeah, we could take the podcast to the next level.
Okay, well let's get into, since we're talking about beef, let's get into the whole Pusha T Drake thing. I talked about it on another podcast, but everybody wants to hear your thoughts on it because everybody loves Joey Craig. Let's just put it out like that.
Right, man. Nah, people, they like the whole podcast, the host, both hosts, man. I definitely, even my nephew prefers you. Nah, I'm playing, but no, but yeah, I thought it, I thought it was going really good, man. At first, I like the competition, you know what I mean? I just, that whole part of that just gets me hyped. It's like, how's it gonna go next? You know what I mean? So when Pusha T came out with that first track, I thought it was nice. It was like one tier above Charged Up. Remember from the Meek Mill Drake battle? Yeah,
I
so
thought Charged Up was so whack.
It was,
but it made sense though, because it was just kind of like the track that you use to bring a person outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be like straight, just hot fire. It was he was just kind of talking it out. He was kind of addressing some things. It wasn't really supposed to be shots. And then he came out with the shots the next track, and then he thought he was about to do the same thing to Pusha T, and that did not work out for him.
Well, I think it was coming. I think that the whole thing about Jay Prince shutting it down, I think that's true. Because honestly speaking, I think it would have affected Drake in a sense where it's almost a lose-lose situation for Drake. I didn't want to talk about it too much because I want to hear your thoughts on it, but it's a lose-lose for him. If he comes out and it's fire, it just smashes Pusha T track, and because first of all, when he comes out with it, he's going to be bad disrespectful. He's going to take it to where Pusha T took it to. But then if he does that, he's completely out of character for who he has built himself up to be.
Oh, what do you mean? Who he's built himself up to be? He can be a grimy character. People like to make it seem like this dude is like a Disney rapper or something. Like he's super squeaky clean. He hasn't been like that. You know what I mean? He takes shots,
squeaky clean. But even the whole thing when he went at Meek, he wasn't being disrespectful. It wasn't a sense where he wasn't being disrespectful. He was more or less like. It was more like a ha bully type thing. It wasn't like Pusha T was being great disrespect.
That's disrespect. When you taking shots, he was trying to bury dude, and he basically did. So you know what I mean? It's like he was thinking he was about to stomp Pusha T into the ground just like that, and then turn around and just be like, just brush him off like it's nothing, like you're finished. You know what I mean? It was like he imagine them jumping into a boxing ring and he would just gave him a few hits, knocked him down, and he was like just about to walk off all cool. But now Pusha T got right back up and then just was about to take him out. And then Jay Prince runs into the ring like, nah.
But oh man. I think that Drake had a response. I think that he had a response in the chamber. I think this is what I think happened. I think he did.
I don't think he did. I think, look, this is what I think happened, right? I think he didn't have, because look, if it would have been just like the Meek Mill situation, no matter what Jay Prince is saying, it would have been beneficial to them because it would have just made Drake seem more untouchable, right? And that would have just benefited them. It would have just put him up even higher in rank. But I think Jay Prince either heard the track and was like, "Oh, this is just not gonna work." Either way, because if he would have had something, or I don't know, I still don't think he had anything. I think he just knew, okay, man, either way you can't win, and this is just gonna go bad for me. Because if he actually tried to come out with something, or if he gave it enough time, and Pusha T came out with another hit, that would have knocked him even lower, and maybe he would have did what 50 Cent did to Ja Rule, and it could have just ruined him forever. Because you could see just from that one track, he was changing like the public's perception of Drake.
But that's my whole point.
And that he was doing serious damage, and they're like, whoa. It was all good when it was just for sport. But now this is getting to a point where it could start, affecting ticket sales, and then that's getting into my pockets. So let's just squash this whole thing out. So then Jay Prince jumps on it and makes it seem like, hey, we don't want this to go the Tupac and Biggie route, where people start getting killed and all that. So I just had to pull an OG move and call the whole thing. It was bull crap. That was so weak. It was like the equivalent of like you're in the middle of a fight and your parent comes outside and pulls you in the house. Like,
well, it's that. It's completely that. But you gotta understand, and this is what I was trying to say earlier. Drake's fan base is a large percent of his fan base is women and white people. And it's because of his, now, like I said before, he has a clean cut image. Not necessarily saying that he's not, he has, when people think of Drake, they think of this nice Canadian boy who does all this good stuff. Like, God's plan is basically just him showing that, him giving out money to people and stuff like that. That's his whole rollout. That's what he based his whole career off of. Him being emotional in his feelings and showing how much he cares about girls and him breaking his heart and stuff like that. And now Pusha T's out here basically saying that, no, you are a horrible person. You are a bad father. You got this girl pregnant and you just left her, just strip her pregnant essentially. You just left your kid out in the cold. And the only time you're trying to mention this kid essentially is because you're trying to make it about a shoe deal.
But that's beef. That's beef. And you know,
and he's the problem. It's the problem with that.
Got in it though if he didn't think he could win. That's just like he against Kendrick.
But this is the problem with that though. If Drake responds to that in a disrespectful way, like I said, like for example, Pusha T brought his baby mama in it. So if Drake brings in his baby mama, that's gonna be out of character for Drake. It's almost like how when the whole Nas and Jay-Z thing went down, and Nas dropped Ether, and then Jay-Z responded back with what's the song? Super Ugly. And he started talking about Nas's baby mama and the baby, talking about leaving condoms in the baby seat. And Jay's mom had pulled him out like, hey, no, you got to apologize. That's too much. You know, it comes to a point where, not only because it's hurting your image, you don't want to hurt your image and your brand. Drake's brand is essentially what he sells to, like I said, he sells mostly to women and white people. That's his brand. He's not, Pusha T sells mostly to black people. Black people who like street music and like dope dealer music. He's not out here reaching these suburbs like Drake is. So if Drake was to go down and get out of character, that may turn some people off who's in his fan base. Not saying Drake, now, my opinion, Drake should have responded. I'm always for the one who says he should respond. And I'm always, and my whole thought process was, if I was to take a guess, I would think that Drake had a response, but he didn't think Pusha T's response was going to be what it was. So he had to rewrite his whole response again. And I think what Jay Prince heard was that response. And either A, it was whack and Jay Prince was like, no, just don't do it at all. Or B, it was something that was going to, or B, it was something that was going to damage his career in terms of like, yo, this is out of character. You can't do this because Pusha T is going to take it to the streets, and not necessarily Drake might not take it to the streets, but Drake's people might take it to the streets. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you, but I think that was that dude trying to throw in every reason possible other than the money. Notice that like he didn't really want to focus on that. It's just like, you know, we don't really want to associate with people, you know, that would go that dirty. So we don't want to. No, it was all about taking that major L. You want to avoid taking that major L because that's career suicide. You don't want to end up like a Ja Rule. You don't want to end up like Meek Mill. So that's what he's trying to avoid. But it was never about dirtying your image. Like, people don't care about that. The fan base.
Oh, they care.
I know his fan base is not. And look, the majority of people that consume hip hop, period. Like, even back in the day when it was just like records, you know, like actual album sales and all that stuff. Even then, it was like 70% white people. So it doesn't matter if it's drug rap. I'm not talking about like underground mixtape rap. Like that stuff, yes, obviously that's being consumed by most of black people. But what I'm talking about is still, if you're a mainstream rapper, regardless of whether your message is about drugs or whatever, it's still being consumed by mostly white people. Look at the Migos. They was talking about, all that hood crap.
The Migos is on that kind of Drake type level. Yeah, they're talking about the hood stuff, but they're not like Pusha T. Pusha T is on a completely different level than them. Pusha T is on that. He's more like the Style P's. He's more like the Style P's, the Royce the 5'9". He's talking the Rick Rosses even, but Rick Ross is even on that level. You have artists who, like, for example, Drake. I can see people comparing Drake to the Migos, not necessarily in terms of lyrical content, but they have that crossover appeal. You can put Drake on a Katy Perry record. You can put the Migos on a Katy Perry record or records like that with other pop artists. You're not really putting Pusha T on a Katy Perry record.
They're not doing it, but they can. I mean, dude, but look, back during his Clips days, he had more crossover appeal, but that was just because he was more mainstream. You know, that was, you know, because of grinding and stuff like that. I mean, he was on, what was it? Like, I think like back in 2003, like, wasn't he originally on that I'm Loving It track with Justin Timberlake? The one that they ended up turning into the slogan for McDonald's. But I think they ended up cutting him though, but still, the point was, is he? You
just proved my point.
Look what I'm saying.
I was loving the McDonald's trap, but now
that happens.
But see, the thing about it is, you got to understand something. Even when they were with the Clips, he had Pharrell behind him, and Pharrell was kind of more making the beats that kind of had that vibe to it. Like even Grinding's a street song, but it has such a bumpy, fun kind of vibe to it that people kind of bop to it. But if you look at the Pusha T albums, it's straight up street music. Every song on his album is about selling coke or killing somebody. It's no.
Yeah, that's true. But he's still a versatile artist, just like anyone. Like, you know, just like you could have any of the dudes from the Migos on a track like that, on a hardcore street track, and you could turn around and put them on a Katy Perry track. You know what I mean? You could do the same thing with a 2 Chainz or a, you know, or there's many artists. He's just like that. He has a voice, and he's talented enough that he could easily switch his message in his verse to match any artist that you need to put him next to. So, you know, I mean, I don't know.
You can put him on, like I said, you can put him on any record you want to put him on. That's not a here nor there. But he doesn't have that crossover appeal like Drake has.
Oh, Drake has a lot. If we're talking about whether he's as mainstream, no, he doesn't have that level of mainstream appeal right now. But he was about to get there if he would have released that next track. You can already see that he has a lot more mainstream appeal. Like a lot of his tracks, if you go to YouTube, you see a whole bunch of the views cranked up by like sometimes thousands or maybe even millions for some of his newer songs. You know what I mean? You have people going back and listening to his older songs and being like, wow, Pusha T is a beast. And I didn't even know. It's just, you know what I mean? Sometimes people, if you actually gave them the opportunity, they would have super high mainstream appeal, but they just don't have the attention. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's just like how you can have somebody that's super talented, or even a singer. You know what I mean? They can have the greatest voice, but if nobody's listening, well, it doesn't matter. And just people weren't listening for whatever reason. You know what I mean? It's not because he sucked. It's just kind of happened that way.
Yeah, his rapping ability is never in question. I'm more talking about his crossover appeal and the fact that, in my opinion, if Drake has more to lose than Pusha T does. Pusha T's gonna always have his Pusha T fans. Drake's movement can make him lose his fan base because when you're dealing with that pop fan base, pop fans are fickle. One day they love you, the next day they're like, whatever, we don't have to listen to this crap no more. You on to the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, regardless of that, that's beef. You know what I mean? Don't get into it. Don't get into it if you don't feel like
you can go all 12 rounds.
Yeah, you know, he's just picking battles which he feels like he can win easily. Just like I said, that's why he didn't go full into it with Kendrick, because he knew he would have got stomped. It would have been a wrap.
Yeah, that's true. I can agree with that completely.
Who else? He ran away from somebody else too.
He ran away from a lot of people.
I can't remember who it was. But anyway, I think that was one of the most disappointing rap beefs ever.
Not at all. I don't think that.
Look, no, I'm just the ending. How it went. I was happy. I'm really happy for the fact that how, you know, for how it worked out for Pusha T. You know what I mean? I'm happy to see him getting the attention that he deserves. And, you know, for people to actually be going back and listening to his albums and really giving him props. You know what I mean? Because he is a beast.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, but that ending was hot garbage, and there's no coming back. That's like, and the thing is, if that was anybody else, it would have been a top tier L. But people are like, oh, it's not even Drake's fault. It's this dude's fault. He's stopping him from putting out from continuing. So it's like, they're coming up with all these excuses and crap. But if Kanye would have came out, if Kanye would have came out and stopped Pusha T from coming out with a response track to that Duppy freestyle quotes and doggone freestyle, but everyone would have been like, oh, look at this sucker. He's a simp. He can't even come out with his own, he can't come out with a track. He's running away scared. But of course it's Drake, so he gets away with that. But whatever. Anyways,
we've talked way too long about this crap.
How long are we in, man? I don't even have a timer up or anything.
20 minutes. I think we're a little bit more than 20 minutes in, I think. I'm correct.
Oh, God. Talking about
let's talk about the so what's your thoughts on since we're still on hip hop, let's talk a little bit more about the hip hop thing. What's your thoughts on the fact that Lil Wayne, I was about to say Dwayne, but Lil Wayne finally is essentially released from his contract and the Carter 5 is officially coming out finally?
I don't think anybody cares. Like, I mean, if it would have came out 3 years ago when he still had a little bit of heat, that's cool. And I think he still has a solid fan base, but his mainstream heat has died down a whole bunch. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's to the point where when I see people putting him on tracks, like him being featured on a song, like he's a legend or something, and expecting it to really, like, thinking that it's really going to change the outcome of the song, like performance wise, it's like, do you guys not know that he's kind of like past his prime right now? Like, it's not really his day anymore. And I know that's not really his fault. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of legal stuff going on, but I don't know. Now that he's free, he's gonna have to do a whole bunch of work to really recover his career. You know what I mean? If he wants to get to the point where the Carter 5 is actually gonna do numbers. I mean, it could potentially come out and people out of curiosity might go pick it up or really go stream it, you know what I mean, and give it some buzz, but I don't see it really being a big thing. I think it might just kind of fall off. It'll come out.
I think you're crazy if you think the Carter 5 is not going to do numbers. The quality of it may be in question, but I think the Carter 5 is going to sell like crazy. All those rabid Lil Wayne fans out there who are still rabid, who still
Wayne fans. Where?
There's a lot of people who love Lil Wayne. I'm not necessarily a Lil Wayne fan myself, but there's a lot of people who've been waiting for this album for the longest.
They love old Lil Wayne. People that love the Carter 3, people that, enjoyed maybe a couple songs off the Carter 4. But you got to think, that was years ago. Like, people can love 50 Cent, but that don't mean they're going to go out and buy his new album.
Yeah, that kind of does. They know
they like old 50 Cent.
If they think they're going to get old 50 Cent, they're going to buy the album.
They'll go to a concert to go listen to you play your old tracks, but they will not come out and really support you on a new album. You know what I mean? Look, if Stevie Wonder came out, think about all the Stevie Wonder fans, right? People would love to go see him in concert, listen and reminisce on all those old tracks. But if he comes out with a new album right now, the majority of those fans aren't going to go out and buy it. It's not the same vibe.
I don't know about that at all. It depends on. See, the problem with that is this. If we're going to go use the fact of Stevie Wonder, you have to market that stuff right. A perfect example of what you're saying is a few years, well, it's not a few years, it's been a while back now. Lionel Richie had a comeback album that did really well. It was on Def Jam, if I'm correct. I have the album. It did really well because they marketed it right. If you just sit there here's the Stevie Wonder album, just drop it out there in the East and nobody knows about it, it's not going to do well, obviously. But if you sit there and market it, hey, this is Stevie Wonder. This is one of your legends. Here's a song with him and Beyonce. Here's a song with him and such and such. This is the Stevie Wonder that you want to hear because
the features on it. Of course, it'll do well.
That's how most artists do when it comes to like them hitting their twilight of their career. They get a bunch of features, just like Bono's last album. to kind of supplement whether they're still got it or they don't. It's just part of the territory. And I think if you market it right, you can make an album like I said, that Lionel Richie album that came out a while back. I forgot the name of it. It had hits.
You talking about that one where they did like the whole bunch of remixes to his old songs?
No, it's an actual album. Let me.
The one. It was the one that came out a long time ago when Oprah's show was still on.
I don't know when it was. I'm gonna tell you right now, it was a while back, but it was his comeback album. It was on Def Jam.
I kind of remember it. I know he had this one track. I liked it. It was kind of like They Call It Love, or I Call It something like that.
That's the exact album. That album did very well for Lionel Richie.
Heck yeah, that did really well.
But that was essentially a comeback album.
But it was a different time period back then. People don't consume, media like they did back then. You know what I mean? We're in a streaming phase now. People don't really go out and support like that. You know what I mean? So while he might get some streams out of people being curious what it's about, a lot of people aren't going to go out and drop money on an actual album, whether it's digital or physical. Definitely not physical. It's just as the years go on and people know that they can easily access stuff without actually having to pay for it, the numbers have just dropped. People don't support stuff like that anymore. Doesn't matter who it is. I mean, unless you're like a Beyonce or an Adele or a Bruno Mars, you know what I mean? You have to be like top tier or reach legendary status, you know what I mean? So you have to be A-list or in the S class, you know what I mean? Way in the special territory where it's just like you could go away for 10 years and come back and then everyone is still waiting for you. Like that's reserved for a special few. And I don't know if Lil Wayne has that anymore. You know what I mean? He just doesn't really have that vibe anymore.
I think his album would do good. I personally am not a Lil Wayne fan, but I know people who love his album. Oh, the album that we was talking about with Lionel Richie was it's called Coming Home. It came out in 2006.
Yeah, that was I enjoyed that one song.
That was very good.
Yeah, but that was also around the time. I think that was a little bit before even Maxwell when he came back out. Like, I don't even know what his album would do today. Like, that's crazy. Like, Kanye came out and only did like 200,000, and that was including streams.
That was kind of Kanye's fault.
Nah, but the thing is look, a lot of people hate on Kanye, but he still gets major buzz. It doesn't matter. Even The Life of Pablo was huge. People have been hating Kanye forever. My Dark Twisted Fantasy or whatever that album was called. People love that. That one is considered a classic. That was after all, the drama and Yeezus still did well. He had tracks on that album all over the commercials. You know what I mean? So
this is a little different.
Huh?
This is a little different. I think his shenanigans this time kind of may have hurt him a little bit. So
I don't really think so. I mean, Kanye's been Kanye. You know what I mean? It's and people don't really care. Like they'll jump up and want people to recognize that they're outraged about something, but they're still listening to the music. Those same people are still checking it out, counting toward the stream count. So I don't know. We'll see. You know what I mean? I'm not some freaking media data analyst or whatever the heck. I don't know how all this stuff goes. I'm just going based on what I think, and seeing how trends have gone and how his buzz is just not really there like it used to be. I mean, like, he does have a dedicated fan base. So when he comes out with mixtapes, you go on YouTube and you still see that his songs are still getting like at least 1 million listens or views or whatever. But back in the day, that'd have been 10 times that. And that was just on the low end. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, all right. let's get into our final topic. We've been going for a minute. I don't want to stay too long on this topic since we done went so long. All right. These last couple of weeks have been, well, it hasn't been this last couple of weeks. It's been this last week or so. Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain, and now as of today, you ever watch the Goldbergs?
Mm-mm. No,
Okay,
never.
One of the actors from the Goldbergs, one of the main actors from the Goldbergs, Jackson Odell, was found dead today at 20. And it's pointing to suicide.
Mm.
So in the last, 2 weeks, we've had 3 major, either, I guess, what I call it, I guess you call it celebrities, because Kate Spade's not an actress or anything like that, per se. 3 major celebrities commit suicide. So what are your thoughts on that so far?
I don't know. I don't really have too much to say about, someone committing suicide. I mean, it's unfortunate. Um, I mean, I wish the best for their families. It kind of sucks that it's becoming a trend. You know what I mean? I wish people found, I don't know, peace other ways other than feeling like it's just taking themselves out is just the only way to get past their problems. But
Well, it's interesting that this is happening because they're saying that there's articles saying that the suicide rate in the United States have went up lately this past year. So more people are actually killing themselves as opposed to previous years. And I think when you see celebrities and people with power who people normally think that they have the best of life and they have money and fame and what people want in their lives, it kind of makes you wonder, like, wow, if they're going through it and they have all this, it's a real thing. I think I can speak on this topic because like I said, you've discussed your mental health issues on this show. I think I should talk about mine. I'm not going to say that I haven't never thought about killing myself. There was a time in my life where, a while back, where I most certainly thought of that. And, it's crazy to say that out loud to myself right now because now I would never think of that in terms of how I feel. But people can get to those low points in life, and when you hit, I guess when you hit rock bottom, as I felt back then, it almost feels like it'll be more better for your family not to have you around to bear them down. Get what I'm kind of saying? That's not the way to think at all, by the way. I guess when you go through so many situations in your life and you feel like there's no way out of it, you feel like that's kind of a release, and it really isn't, because you're cheating yourself out of, because no matter how bad a situation is, there's always, as I've learned in life, there's always a chance for redemption. You make a mistake, as bad as the mistake may be, there's always a chance to redeem yourself and pick your feet, get yourself off the ground and kind of get yourself back together. But I know a lot of people kind of get in these dark places and they don't understand that there's a tomorrow, and tomorrow brings better things. And like I said, I've dealt with that. I've dealt with having that feeling like, yo, this is it, man. I can't deal with this no more. I'm not only bringing myself down, I'm bringing my family down, just my life in a sense. But you got to kind of look at it like tomorrow's going to be better. Even though it doesn't seem like it right now, tomorrow will be better and you will get past this. So,
yeah. Sometimes I think about, like, man, do they really go deep into it and think about how it would affect the family that they're leaving behind? You know what I mean? I say this as someone that's unfortunately, like, dealt with the effects of losing someone to suicide. So it's like I know what that feels like to be like, almost feels like you were left behind. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like, dang, like, you think there's so many things that go into it. You're thinking like, dang, I wish I could have done something, or you know what I mean, I should have talked to them more, or you know what I mean, like, dang, why didn't they come see me? You know what I mean? There's so many things that go into it. It's like that. So you know, you go through so many different phases. You know, you're sad, you're angry, you're confused, you don't really know what to think. And so I'm thinking like, dang, when these people they're leaving behind like children, you know what I mean? Some of these people they're leaving behind like people in their teens, or they might be even less than teens. And it's like, did you really consider that, or are they just so lost that it just didn't even, none of that mattered at that moment?
Yeah, it's kind of that, and like I said, I'm talking off my experience, by the way. I don't want people to think I'm speaking for everybody who've had these thoughts, but it's kind of a sense of selfishness in terms of like, no matter what somebody's telling you, what's coming in whatever logic's coming in your head, you're kind of thinking to yourself, just take me out of this. This world would be better off without me, even though it's not true. And you don't really think of the consequences of that. You'll think that, okay, let's say you have kids. You'll think, well, my kids would be better off without having me in this world. They'll bounce back. And you'll think things that are really irrational. And you'll try to put logic to it in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really think about the consequences or the ripple effect that they may cause to other people who care about us and love us. And, I want to talk about this now because if anybody out there who ever had that feeling, just know that there is a tomorrow and things will get better. And there's people you can talk to in terms of, I know people always say like, people don't like talking to psychiatrists because one, it costs money. And two, people think don't want the stigmatism of mental health being on them. People always have that, but there's nothing wrong with having mental issues. Everybody has it. Everybody has some type of form of depression or something, and it's good to talk to people about these issues, and so you can help yourself, so you don't get to this low level of where you feel like you're not important and you want to just kill yourself.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, I kind of got to that point, and I kind of pulled myself out of it. Where I got to the point where I'm not gonna do this. Let me just strap up my bootstraps and dig in and get myself out of this hole. But not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
And, listening to podcasts helped a lot. Listening to people talk and laughing at things people saying, not necessarily talk about their thoughts and opinions, but listening to people just laugh and enjoy life and talk about their problems and necessarily didn't go through their problems and reach the other side helped a lot with it. And that's why I like doing podcasts today, because I know there might be that one person out there who's listening to maybe a Skyward cast or a Delvin Cox experience or whatever podcast one of us may be on, and this helps them do their day and help them with their problems they may be having, whether it's mental health or whatever it is. And that makes me feel good. And going more into that is it's been a couple of times where I've gotten messages from people, not necessarily saying I've helped them through something such and such and such, but they just say, yo, your podcast is incredible, man. I listen to it every day, and this, it got me through this, it got me through that, or, what you do is great, and I love your interviews and stuff like that. Or Joey Craig, like the last episode we did, a lot of people just messaged me about how it was brave what you did and what you talked about and how it helped them. That always makes me feel good. Whether it's 5 people listen to the podcast, 100, 1,000, it doesn't matter. If we're helping people, I always want to keep doing this podcast.
I appreciated all the comments. You know what I mean? If I could help anyone feel more like they can actually feel comfortable being open about it, because I don't know if I really mentioned it. I'm pretty sure I touched on it, but I used to be really closed off. Like I didn't want to tell anybody about anything I was going through. You know what I mean? My worst fear was feeling like I wasn't normal. And of course it was the more like the extreme state of my mind at the time. You know what I mean? I was going through like some severe OCD. I was worried what everyone was thinking about me when, none of that really mattered. You know what I mean? It was all about getting help and how I was feeling inside of myself, not really what the next person was thinking about me. Doing that, honestly, I feel like it may have made things worse, because then I kind of closed myself off instead of actually seeking help. But it's normal. Like you said, everyone goes through something, even if yours is something that the majority of other people don't go through. It's still, not something that you should feel ashamed about or whatever, that you need to hide or run away from.
And to put a bow on this, if anybody's out there having issues where they feel like, taking their own life, or they just depressed and they need somebody to talk to, feel free to reach out to me. Just message me on Twitter, Delvin I. I will gladly talk to you. If you want to message me and say, hey, call me up on your phone, just message me your phone number. I'll sit there and talk to you, bro. We can get through this together. My doorway is always open to people. I keep my DMs open to people for a reason, just in case they want to, if they're going through something and they need help. I don't have a problem with talking to people. I'm on Twitter every day. I may not always respond every day, but if you message me like, hey, I need help, I will get back to you immediately. It's not a problem with me. I will find time to talk to you and help you whatever issues you may be going through.
It's nice that people just know that, there's somebody there. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people do come forward. The people in their life may not be listening, so that's really cool to just know that there's someone that they can reach out to.
Yeah, you got Delvin Cox. That's something. Well, that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll sit there and talk with you. I don't have a problem doing that at all.
Yeah, just having somebody is really important. Anything else you want to add to it, or you think we gonna close it off here, man?
I think we done closed it off, man. This was supposed to be a short one. This has actually been not short at all. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, man. We kind of got deep into some topics, and then you got to think it's been like a month and a half or something since the last episode. It's been a long freaking time. So you get into it and you just start going. It's all good though.
Yeah, man. I'd rather not. There's no one else I'd rather do this podcast with, man. That's why I always say Skyward Cast is here to stay, man. As long as you want to do it, we're doing it.
Appreciate it. So I think we're going to close it off there. Everybody, thanks for checking out.
Walking down the street.
Talk to you later.
Hey.
Peace.
Walking down the street. Hey. Walking down the street. Heard one of my beats. The driver was a G. The passenger was a geek. Turned on arena, and they seen it was me. Put it in outside the window.